This podcast is for the ones who know they were rescued, but also know they were resent. Saved by grace, sent to live different. We're not rebelling against God, we're rebelling against everything that keeps us from Him. We'll talk faith, identity, purpose, leadership, and what it really looks like to follow Jesus in a loud and noisy world. We'll dissect scripture, we'll exposit it, we'll grow, and we'll stretch our faith. Welcome to the Daily Rebel. All right. Welcome back to the Daily Rebel. It's your boy, Derek Griffon, and I'm excited to continue this walk into the book of James. We're on day 6 and officially week 2 of the Daily Rebel. And so we're going to dive in. Let's open our Bibles. Let's get with it. Get your notebooks and let's go right now. James chapter 1, starting in verse 5. Now, if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives to all generously, ungrudgingly, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith without doubting. For the doubter is the surging sea, driven and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord, being double-minded and unstable in all his ways. You know, James has been walking us through what it looks like to face pressure in this life, to face trials, testing, endurance, and maturity. And he tells us that endurance leads to being complete where we're lacking nothing. I kind of compared it to Psalm 23 when David said, I shall not want. But then he immediately says, if any of you lacks wisdom. Now, here's the deal. That's not a contradiction. That's actually reality. You can be growing, you can be maturing, you can be trusting God and still not know what to do next. You see, wisdom is not about whether you love God. It's about how you walk with God when decisions are heavy. And James is writing to believers under real pressure, persecution, uncertainty, life-altering choices. Now, here in America, I would say this, if you're listening in America, is I wouldn't call us a persecuted nation, not even by any means. I mean, we face pressure. We face people that want to drown us out. But regardless of persecution or pressure, no matter what life choices you're in, no matter what pain you're in, James knows something we all experience, that pain doesn't automatically produce wisdom. Pressure doesn't guarantee clarity. That's why God doesn't just promise relief. He promises wisdom, but we have to take it up. So I got 3 things. Number 1, wisdom is direction, not information. You see, James doesn't say if any of you lacks knowledge. He says if any of you lacks wisdom. Knowledge tells you what's happening. It gives you the info. Wisdom tells you what to do next with it. And in trials of any kind of testing, you know, information, it multiplies. Opinions get louder. Emotions get stronger. Voices tend to fill your head with all kinds of nonsense. But wisdom cuts through the noise. You see, wisdom doesn't remove the storm. It gives you footing in it. And redeemed rebels, man, we don't just want explanations. We want direction. So here's number 2. Wisdom flows from an all-sufficient God. So while wisdom is direction and not information, we also have to remember where we get wisdom. It comes from an all-sufficient God. He says, let him ask God. If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God. Let him ask the Lord. That means wisdom isn't scraped together. It's not discovered by accident, man. It is received. And wisdom flows from an all-sufficient God. And if God is lacking nothing, then wisdom is never running out. Hold up. Somebody needs to hear that. Write it down. If God is lacking nothing, then wisdom is never running out, and he's always wanting to give it. That's why the text said that he gives it generously. He's not irritated by our questions. He's not threatened by our uncertainty or just our desire to control, man. God gives without reproach. He doesn't shame you for asking. He doesn't thank God. He doesn't remind you of your past mistakes. He doesn't say you should be further along by now. And though even the writer of Hebrews says that though you should be listening or eating the meat of the word, you still have to go back to elementary teachings. He's more so doing that to remind us of where we need to be and where we need to get to. But he's not going to just keep telling you and guilting you in those things. Wisdom flows freely because God is full. And redeemed rebels, man, they don't pretend they have it all together. They ask the God who already does. So here's number 3. If wisdom is direction, not information. If wisdom flows from an all-sufficient God, then number 3, wisdom guides obedience, not control. James will go on to warn about doubting, and we'll talk about that later. Not questioning, but controlling. Wisdom requires surrender. You can't ask God for wisdom while gripping onto your own plan. Wisdom doesn't always give you the full picture. It gives you the next faithful step. So God gives wisdom, not to make life easier, but to make obedience possible in the midst of any kind of trial, whatever wilderness you're in. Wisdom doesn't promise comfort, man. It promises guidance. And so here's what I want to tell you today as we close out this first Devo of the week. You can be faithful and still feel unsure. You can trust God and still need direction. You don't just pray for relief. You pray for wisdom. I don't know about y'all, but every time I ever go through something, man, I can get a lot more grumpy and I complain a lot more than I can actually get on my knees and ask God for wisdom to walk through it well. So pray for wisdom. Don't ask God to remove the pressure, man. The pressure is the thing that's going to make us better on the other side. Ask him to guide you through it, because redeemed rebels don't walk by instinct. They walk by God-given wisdom. And God still gives it. And how does he give it? He gives it generously to anyone who asks. Come back tomorrow for day 7 of the Daily Rebel. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Before you go, if you want to help other people be equipped to be redeemed rebels, give us a follow and share it around with your friends. We'll see you next time.